So today I'm going to tell you how to get your private pilot's license in under the FAA required 40 hours while doing it in the United States. So let's just jump right into it. The trick to it is going to a 141 school, not a Part 61, because Part 61 has the minimums of 40 required hours. If you go to a Part 141 school, like I do, you can get your private pilot certificate, license, whatever you want to call it. It's a certificate, but everybody calls it a license. You can get it in as little as 35 hours. You can go to your check ride. Now, is that normal? Is that an average? No. The average nationwide, depending on where you look, is roughly 60 hours. But can it be done? Well, the answer is yes, because I did it. So here was my path to getting to check ride for your private pilot's license in under 40 hours. Step one, obviously, is go to a 141 school. They're typically attached to colleges, and I'll dig into that into another video. But for this one, I just want to let you know my school is attached to Liberty University. Now, I am not a student of Liberty University. I will eventually be a student of Liberty University to pursue the degree, but right now I'm just doing the flight school. So to get to the private pilot check ride in under 40 hours, step one of it is go to a Part 141 school, because they're going to have a strict syllabus that the FAA has approved, which means the minimum hours to go to check ride is lower. So the next one, step number two, is fly often. So I'll talk to people on Facebook groups and stuff like that, and they all say, well, I fly once or twice a week or once or twice a month, something like that, and it's taken me 100 hours to get to my private check ride. And that is a very typical scenario. But you're also going to spend a lot of money when you're flying like that, because every time you go for a lesson, you have to review the previous lesson because you're not flying very often. You don't have what we call in the industry proficiency. So you got to constantly keep going backwards a little bit to take your 2 steps forward. So it's 1 step back, 2 steps forward, and continuously like that. Where if you were to fly 4 to 5 times a week, and I understand that's not realistic for most people, but if this is an industry you want to get into, definitely take it serious, because your life and other people's lives are on the line. So if you can make it work to get there 4 to 5 days a week, you'll maintain your proficiency. You'll get through the program a lot faster. So I'm not saying quit your job and go and live at the airport and fly all day every day. You don't have to do that. You can work your 9 to 5 or whatever it is, or maybe you have shift work job and you're working, 3 to 11. Find an hour that you can carve out within that day in your off hours and go to the airport and fly if you can afford it. Because that's going to be the biggest thing, is affording this. Because let me tell you, it is expensive. The more you fly, obviously, the more proficient you're going to be, but the faster you're going to burn through that money that you have budgeted for this training, whether it's out of pocket or a loan. So, but if you can get there even 3 days a week, you're going to be more proficient. You're going to have to do less review of the previous lesson to be able to move on and learn something new to kind of move towards that check ride. The next thing is you really have to dive in. So step 3, I'm going to call it, it's basically putting your head down and doing the work. So I know a lot of people, and this was my case also, are not very good at the written tests. I am terrible at the written tests. You can give me all that information, and you'll see a lot of people out there promoting different things, saying, hey, get your written tests out of the way before you go to the school. And I don't know about you, maybe that works for some people, but for me, that didn't work for private or instrument, because I need to be able to not just read something, but I need to actually be able to do it, to understand and comprehend what it is I'm reading. I'm one of those people that has to kind of learn by doing. So reading through everything and preparing for the private written was extremely difficult for me because, again, it's a new language, it's a new industry, and I knew nothing about it getting into it. So basically what I did is I worked the lessons through the ground school as I was doing the flight school. So we can go and I could do the ground, and then I get with my instructor, and then we would basically do the flight portion of that ground to kind of match things up so it would start to make sense to me. So once we got about 3/4 of the way through the process, through the course, that's when I took a week off to really kind of finish up the ground and get my practice tests done to be able to go and take the written for the private check ride, the FAA written test. I want to say I got an 87, maybe? I don't remember off the top of my head. It was a while ago. If you've watched these previous videos here on my channel of me going through the private course, they're videos that I took back in the fall of 2022. So they are not up to date. They're not what's going on right now. I am much further ahead in my training than what you see in those videos, but I took the videos and I eventually wanted to start putting them out there. So here we are. And I'm going to do videos like this too, where I give information from what I've learned and what I can help others. And let me be the first to tell you, I am no expert. I do not know remotely close to everything, but I can come on here and I can talk about my experience and what helped me get to where I am, which is currently wrapping up the commercial portion of my training. So I'm already instrument rated, and I'm about 90% of the way through the commercial portion. I have 30 hours to go until I am ready to commercial check ride. So we're working on the maneuvers now. But back to the private stuff. So you want to make sure you're doing that ground and you're understanding and you're getting the point of what it is you're being taught. And again, it comes back to proficiency. Everybody talks currency in this industry because that's what makes you legal, but proficiency is what makes you a good pilot and makes you safe. So that way, if you get into a situation, odds are you've seen it before, you can get yourself out of that situation. And there will be a video coming up here on my channel. I did an interview back, I want to say it was in May of 2023 or June, I don't remember. But I did an interview with Dan Grider because I had an emergency and I screwed up. But we'll get into that here in another video coming up in the future. But again, back to the private pilot check ride and the license certificate for it. So to do it in under 40 hours, again, you need to be at a Part 141 school. That's the only way you can do it. You can't do this at a Part 61 school because the rules just don't allow it. You need to be there often. You really need to dedicate yourself to this. Carve time out of your day and really kind of sink your teeth into what it is you're learning and what it is you're doing. And then part 4 to this, and this is what I find the most controversy with and a lot of people struggle with, is make sure you have the right CFI. You need to have someone that's going to learn you and how you understand and how you learn things. And they're going to be able to adapt their teaching so that way you can get the most money out of your time. Because if you are like me and you want to, and you do best learning by doing, and you have a CFI that just wants to talk on the ground and that expects you to understand that when you get in the airplane, that might not be the person for you. So you really need to find someone that's going to mesh well with you, your learning style, your personality, all of that, so that way you can be the most efficient in your training to achieve check ride in the minimum hours. And when I say that, you also need to not be afraid to speak up. If your CFI is not working out for you and it's just not clicking, and don't be afraid to say something. You can say something to the CFI, say, hey, you know what, I don't think this is working out. Maybe we need to try something else, a different way of learning, or maybe I need to find another CFI. And if you're at a school, it's not that big of a deal. Now, if you have your own plane or you're just renting a plane from a rental place and you just hired some random CFI, it's going to be a different conversation because they might not have somebody else to kind of fall back into as far as other students. You might have a struggle finding someone new. But again, we're talking 141 schools here, so this is the only place that's going to apply. So you're at a school. So you can speak up because the school is going to have more students. So if you and your CFI are not working out and you're not being efficient in your training for one reason or another, speak up. Go to the owner of the school, go to the chief pilot, go to the progress check instructor, who's basically a check airman for the school, because you're going to have progress checks throughout the course at a 141 school. And then below that is going to be your actual instructor. You can talk to any of these people and express your frustrations, your problems, whatever it is, and you can then go and work towards getting a new CFI. Because typically at these schools, while yes, it is a little bit of a paperwork, it's a little bit of paperwork that has to be done on the school's part to kind of move you to a new CFI, and then there will be a learning curve because this new CFI is going to have to learn you, and they're going to have to learn your style of learning and how they can best help you and teach you along the way. But there's other CFIs there. It's fairly simple to move to a different CFI, and that CFI is not going to be as hurt by it because guess what? There's other students coming up through the pipeline. So when they take you off their schedule, there's someone else they can put right in your spot with that CFI. So they're not losing hours. They're not going to lose any money. So don't feel bad about it. At the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you because this is your journey. This is an industry you're entering. And at the end of the day, it's your money. So you need to be able to open your mouth and speak up if something doesn't feel right.